What's going on, everybody? I am Phil. This is Tyler. Welcome to another edition of the 5 Tool Productions video podcast. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that I have seen come up a lot more recently. It's been a topic of conversation probably for a long time now, but that's content overload. Content shock, as one of the people we follow likes to call it. And basically what that's doing to the marketing industry and how you can react and what should you be doing to kind of
combat that?
Combat it, exactly.
So let's first start by setting the scene a little bit. Like, what is content overload? I mean, we talk about creating content all the time, and that every brand is doing it. Well, that's really what's happening. Every single brand is creating a ton of content, but right now there's so much of it out there that it's tough to really kind of, cut through the madness, if you will, and really reach your target audience because the end users are starting to basically not care anymore.
Right, and I think it goes beyond just not caring too. It's just physically there's it seems probably a couple of years ago if you talked about it, it would seem stupid to say there's not enough space on the internet for all this stuff.
Yeah.
But, and obviously they're physically...
It's a series of tubes, Phil, that's why.
The tubes are big enough to fit it. But the bigger problem really is that the networks that people live on, call it email, social media, the specific social media networks, the amount of time that the average person spends compared to the amount of content that's being pushed out, there is not enough real estate for everything to be seen by every person or by the people you want to be seen by. We've talked about it specifically with Facebook and Facebook, the organic reach, and I talk about it all the time. I'm obsessed with this topic. But there's the average person when they go on Facebook, there's thousands and thousands of potential updates that they could be served from their friends and from the pages they follow. And Facebook's algorithm has to decide which ones to show them. But the reality is, for every 100 that they see, there's probably 1,000, 10,000 that they don't see.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole basis of this conversation to me, is that there's just not enough space on the internet and on people's feeds for everything that's being created to be seen.
Well, exactly. I mean, we'll use the scales of justice here, our favorite thing, right? But before, there used to be more people than there was content.
Yeah.
Right now, it's turned. There's more content out there. I mean, we'll say content marketing as an example. The amount of articles that we just searched, literally before we started filming this, we kind of said, all right, what are some of the trends for 2018? We just typed in 2018 digital marketing trends. Right off the bat, there was over 30 pages of someone putting out their trends.
Right.
How are just two people going to actually digest this? And especially if we don't know the publication, we don't trust them already. We don't know who they are. We don't know the writer. We don't know the brand that's helping put it out. I have no idea how I'm going to trust this, why I'm going to read this. Why am I going to go to one over the other, right? So
no, and I think that's a really interesting point. And I think it actually ties into some of the other things that we've talked about a lot recently, and that we'll continue to talk about. The ideas of one-to-one marketing more and personalization and customer journey. And one of the things that we've done recently is just think about who are the people, not necessarily people we're trying to sell to whatsoever, just people who are in industry with us, or maybe who we've worked with years ago, or who we just know are maybe interested in the topics that we're also interested in. And when we create a piece of content, it's just as simple as sharing it out there, right? And it's a kind of paring down your distribution list and not just saying we're going to personalize by using, a mail merge field that says, "Hi, Tyler," right? Because that's not personalization.
Especially when it's all lowercase because you didn't input
because that's how you put it on the form.
Or I filled it out and I spelled my last name wrong or something like that.
Or you intentionally put something in so you knew if they were testing.
It's totally fake. Exactly.
So, I think that you talk about the element of trust and things like that. If we were to write an article about 2018 marketing trends, we're not going to rank on page 1 of Google, no matter how hard we try, because Forbes is writing about it, and TechCrunch is writing about it, and Mashable is.
And Gadget's there. There's so many companies that have a lot. Everybody is.
So it's,
our building alone, there's people writing about it.
Exactly. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be covering it. It's just a matter of, what are we focusing on that the people who are actually going to be able to reach are going to care about, and then getting it to those people in a way that they're actually going to see it, as opposed to maybe just blasting it out and hoping.
Well, and that, kind of going back to the way you cut through as well, by just putting something generic like 2018 content marketing trends or digital marketing trends, that's very broad. But if we then start honing in on our target audience of 2018 content marketing trends that health and wellness clubs need to, and gym owners need to pay attention to. That's much different, right? I mean, we're targeting a specific audience for that. Those articles, there's a lot more there, but you're dialing in just a little bit more, right?
Right, and I think that's one of the interesting things that Mark Schaefer talks about a lot when he talks about content shock is like finding...
This was the person that we were talking about.
Did we not reference his name?
We didn't actually mention his name.
Anyway, it's one of the things that he talks about is like finding your niche. So it's, you know, there are untapped topics, right, that haven't been oversaturated. Plenty of them have. But if you can find a topic that your target audience is interested in that hasn't been oversaturated, you can rank.
Absolutely.
You know, you can rank on Google, and you can kind of beat the system a little bit and live there and still succeed in content marketing. It's just no longer as simple as create good content and people will see it, right?
Yeah.
It's the same, we talk about that a lot, but it's worth repeating. You can't just create stuff and it's not an if you build it, they will come anymore. You have to be creating specific things that are of value to your specific audience.
So let me ask you this, if I want to play devil's advocate here. So we're talking about, you know, Mark Schaefer is one person. Well, let's talk about Gary Vee as another one, because he always says, you know, provide value for your audience. No matter what you do, provide value and always provide value. But on the flip side of things, he's also saying provide value at scale.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of his latest posts out there that we saw was that he puts out about 47 pieces of content a day. And that's between tweets and Instagram stories and different videos. He obviously has a team that's doing that. But still, he's trying to blanket a little bit more as opposed to just saying, yeah, I'm going to go create, which he doesn't say create. He says document, don't create at this point, which he says both. But he's taking a slightly different approach because he's just saying blanket, right?
Yeah, I think and so he will talk about flooding the marketplace, right? And
I want to be where everybody is.
Right, and there is still value to that too. It's like, you have to pay to play in terms of ad space, but also like once you do start to build up a reputation and people do know who you are, there's a time and a place where you can flood the marketplace. And there are plenty of brands who do have followings, and you know, the more you post, the more you're going to be seen, right? Like that is also the law of averages. It's just a matter of making sure you're not posting junk and posting garbage, right?
Well, I think that's the key. I mean, going back to the whole document thing, I mean, I don't want to document unless you are a food critic. I don't want to see that you're eating a bagel with peanut butter for breakfast, right?
Right. And that's not the kind of, when Gary Vee documents, he documents things of value.
Well, he's documenting, you know, how can someone get out of this business meeting that he's talking with someone about. I mean, those are the ones I love, when I'm actually feel like I'm a fly on the wall in his business meeting, right? That he's actually doling out some strategy to different folks. I mean, that to me is valuable. So that's why I do, in fact, tune in. So again, it goes back to providing value. For him, it's providing value at scale on a consistent basis, right?
And if you can, you know, flood the marketplace with stuff that's actually good and valuable to your audience, yeah, of course. That's better,
Absolutely.
You know. But there are things that he spends more time on than others too, right? Like, and he's not going to spend the time on an Instagram story that they might spend editing together one of their daily Vs, which is still documenting.
Which, when you really think about it, if you actually look at his Instagram stories at this point in time, they're actually all pre-produced pieces. They're not actually
when
him
you get to
holding
that
up
level,
the camera.
you know.
Yeah.
And so flooding the marketplace is gonna help too, and it's gonna just give you more opportunities to meet your audience where they are when they're there. But even that alone is not enough. The one-to-one and figuring out, you know, those personal touch points are increasingly more important. As you said, you know, creating stuff that stands out, but then also, you know, putting in a little bit of that extra time, whether it's you or a sales team or a marketing team, whoever it is, to make sure this stuff actually gets in front of people. Because these channels are all, the internet's full, dude. Those tubes are full,
Those tubes are full. It's like it being cold in the office right now. The tube's about to burst because it's frozen in here. It's what's happening right now. But seriously, I mean, I go back to, it's not so much personalizing, it's humanizing the conversation.
I like that, actually.
You know. It's the way you kind of, we're going to use that.
Don't personalize.
No, don't personalize. Humanize.
No, I do like that. I think it's right, because personalization is one of those like marketing buzzwords that gets thrown around a lot, and ultimately it really a lot of the time does become like, we have these 3 data points about you, we have a list of 10,000 people, now we're going to plug those 3 data points into an email. It's like, that's not personalization. You were even sounding robotic when you say that.
I was trying
to. Thank you.
Sounded good.
No, and that's not personalization, right? That's taking data points that you gave us and mass marketing using those data points.
Exactly.
So, and of course it's really hard to do this at scale, but one of the ways to at least get it a little bit better is to actually get to know your customers.
Yeah.
You know, one of our recent blog posts talked about whether or not Facebook is listening to you, right? Because
Yeah.
the ads they serve are so personalized. And in my opinion, I'm usually a conspiracy theorist, but I'm actually not on this one. They're not tapping your phones. I can say that.
Don't get
They're
me
not
started
tapping
on
your
this.
phones.
They aren't doing that.
We're not going to
right
talk
now.
about it. They're not tapping your phones, but they have enough data points on you that they can personalize. So there are ways that you can do this and aggregate a little bit more so that, you might still be sending, mass marketing emails, but instead of getting to your entire customer base, you're chopping it down and you're segmenting. And you're actually just send things to people that they actually care about. Communicate with people in the way they want to be communicated. If someone hates email, and they're someone you actually care about, pick up the phone, find another way to get in front of them and just...
And this goes in with the
Stop pissing
content
people
shock
off.
piece. Send them the content that they're going to want, right? I mean, this kind of goes through back to the beginning, the whole content shock. There's so much content out there.
Right.
Why are they going to read yours? Why are they going to watch your video? Why are they going to listen to your podcast? Right now, how many podcasts are out there?
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane the amount of content marketing, digital marketing podcasts that are in fact out there.
Right.
And especially if you don't have an audience already, how do you build up an audience? Well, you start slowly and start saying it to the people that you do know that are like-minded that you think might actually listen to it as well.
Yeah.
Right. So it's all good.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully you all enjoyed this and you actually saw it. Yeah, this is fun.
Good stuff as always.
All right, we'll tune in next time. Thank you guys for watching. That's Tyler. I'm Phil. See you guys later.